The year was 2453, and Earth was at the center of an unexpected storm. The Galactic Empire, a coalition of more than 1,000 worlds across the stars, had set its sights on the small blue planet. A message was broadcasted to every corner of Earth, one that echoed through every major city, every news station, and every home. In a cold, emotionless voice, the Empire's ambassador, Primax, spoke. Earth is hereby ordered to join the Empire as a vassal state. Failure to comply will result in immediate destruction. You have 72 hours to surrender. The message was clear. The Empire had never encountered a race like Earth's, but they knew humanity was an obstacle they couldn't ignore. Earth, with its growing technological prowess and the rising influence of its nations, had become a potential threat to the Empire's dominance. The vast empire had crushed civilizations before, but Earth's defiance was new. President Elena Vargas stood before a room full of the world's most powerful leaders. The United Earth Council had convened for an emergency summit. The massive holographic screen above her flickered with the face of Primax, the alien who had delivered the ultimatum. His species was tall and imposing, their skin a pale shade of green with sharp features that looked as if they had been carved from stone. The moment he finished his cold demand, his image froze on the screen, waiting for a response. The council was silent for a long time. Leaders exchanged uneasy glances. It was clear that the Empire's offer wasn't an invitation, it was a command. We could surrender, one leader suggested cautiously. They've already wiped out entire civilizations. Perhaps we could avoid unnecessary bloodshed. But at what cost? Another leader replied. To bow before them would mean our destruction anyway. The loss of our freedoms, our rights. We would become mere pawns in their empire. President Vargas remained calm, though her mind was racing. She had always known this moment could come, but now that it was here, the weight of the decision felt heavier than anything she had ever faced. Humanity was no stranger to struggle, to conflict, but this was different. This wasn't just about defending Earth from an alien invader. It was about the very soul of humanity. We will not kneel, President Vargas declared, her voice steady but filled with determination. We are not an empire's plaything, and we will not be intimidated. Earth will stand on its own. The room erupted in applause. It wasn't unanimous. Some voices still questioned if resistance was the right path, but the majority knew the truth. The Empire was a force to be reckoned with, but Earth's spirit couldn't be broken so easily. Vargas turned away from the council and looked out the window, the vastness of space beyond Earth's atmosphere staring back at her. The stars had always been a mystery to humanity, something to dream about, to explore. Now they felt closer than ever, and yet farther away. Was this the price of defiance? Would humanity stand a chance? The next 72 hours were a blur of frantic planning, endless debates, and the hurried activation of every defense humanity had. Earth's cities went into lockdown, military forces moved into position, and scientists scrambled to implement secret technologies that had been hidden from the public for years. The humans had something the Empire didn't expect: time. For decades, Earth had been preparing for an event like this, though no one had ever imagined the threat would come so soon. Under the leadership of Dr. Arun Patel, a brilliant scientist who had once worked on peaceful technologies, humanity had been developing a series of advanced military systems in secret. It wasn't an arms race, it was survival. Dr. Patel had created the Aegis Project, a planetary defense system capable of withstanding the might of any fleet. This new technology had never been tested in battle, but there was no choice now. With the Empire on its way, Earth had to be ready. As the clock ticked down, Vargas knew one thing for certain. Earth was not going to give up without a fight. Her hands clenched as she stood in front of the giant screen showing the Empire's fleet slowly approaching the outer edges of the solar system. This wasn't just a fight for Earth, it was a fight for every civilization the Empire had conquered. She sent a final message to the world. We will not bow. We will not kneel. Earth stands united. And so, with the stars as their battleground, humanity made its stand. The countdown to the Empire's arrival began, but President Vargas remained resolute. She knew this was just the beginning. The battle to save Earth and the galaxy was about to unfold. The stakes were higher than ever, and there was no turning back. In the vast darkness of space, the Empire's fleet loomed closer, but Earth had made its choice. The question now was, could humanity win against a force that had never known defeat? As the countdown continued, Earth's military forces sprang into action. The United Earth Council's decision to refuse the Empire's demand set in motion a chain of events that no one, not even the leaders of the Empire, could have predicted. The Galactic Empire, with its thousands of star systems, believed that Earth was a primitive planet with no real power to resist. But they were about to discover that humanity had been preparing for a moment like this, without anyone knowing. For years, Earth's top scientists, engineers, and military strategists had worked together in secret. They had known that the Empire would one day turn its eyes on Earth, and they couldn't afford to be unprepared. The global defense system had always been a top priority, and under the guidance of Dr. Arun Patel, the most brilliant mind of his generation, they had developed a hidden weapon that could change everything. Dr. Patel was a man who had once dreamed of peace. He had been a pioneer in energy technology, working to solve Earth's environmental problems. But when the Empire's shadow grew longer across the galaxy, he realized that peace was not something humanity could afford to hope for. It was something they had to fight for. And so, behind closed doors, he had shifted his research from green energy to something much more dangerous: the Aegis Project. The Aegis Project was Earth's answer to the Empire's overwhelming might. It wasn't a single weapon. It was a global defense system designed to protect the entire planet. The centerpiece of the project was a network of quantum shield generators that could deflect even the most powerful energy blasts. These shields, once activated, could block attacks from ships in orbit, rendering most weapons ineffective. But that was only the beginning. Hidden deep beneath the surface of Earth's oceans were dozens of underground military bases, each one housing fleets of new advanced warships. These ships were smaller, faster, and stealthier than anything the Empire had encountered. Powered by fusion engines and armed with plasma cannons, they were designed to strike fast and hard, giving humanity a fighting chance in space. Dr. Patel had also worked on developing the next generation of soldiers. Through genetic enhancements, these men and women were stronger, faster, and more resilient than normal humans. Their training had been rigorous, and they were ready to fight for their homeworld, no matter the odds. These soldiers were called Aegis Rangers, and they would be Earth's last line of defense. As Earth's preparations continued, the world's leaders worked together, sharing information and resources. The United Earth Fleet was mobilized, its ships armed and ready. They were joined by the Aegis Rangers, who boarded their ships and prepared for battle. There was no time to waste. The Empire's fleet was already on its way, and they were less than 48 hours from arriving. President Elena Vargas knew that this battle would not be won with numbers alone. Earth was outmatched in size and strength, but humanity's greatest weapon was its ingenuity. The Empire, for all its power, had underestimated the human spirit. It had underestimated the will to protect what was theirs. As the final hours before the Empire's arrival ticked away, Dr. Patel and his team worked tirelessly to ensure the Aegis Project was ready for action. The quantum shields were tested one last time, and the warships were checked for any flaws. In the deep silence of the control rooms, the technicians worked with precision, knowing that the future of their world depended on them. Vargas stood before a large holographic map of the solar system, watching as the enemy fleet grew closer with each passing minute. A sense of calm settled over her as she surveyed the data. Earth had done everything it could. The preparations were complete. Now, it was time to face the Empire. The last transmission from the Empire had warned that any attempt to resist would lead to swift annihilation. But humanity wasn't going to go down without a fight. The time for negotiations was over. Earth had made its decision. The countdown clock showed less than 30 minutes until the Empire's fleet entered Earth's orbit. Every military leader, every scientist, and every soldier was in position. There was no turning back. As Earth's forces prepared to launch, Dr. Paddle stood beside President Vargas. He had always believed in science and technology. But now, in this moment of tension, he knew that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its weapons or its advanced technology. It was in its heart. "We're ready," Dr. Paddle said, his voice calm but filled with resolve. "We've done everything we can." Vargas nodded, her face set in determination. "We fight for Earth. We fight for the future of every person on this planet. We fight because we have no choice." As the Empire's fleet crossed the threshold of the solar system, humanity was ready. Earth would not surrender. Earth would not bow. They would fight with everything they had. And if they fell, they would fall together, united as one. The Empire had made a grave mistake by underestimating the resilience of a species that refused to needle. And now, the battle for Earth's survival was about to begin. The galaxy would watch in awe as humanity's secret weapon was unleashed. The moment Earth's forces detected the Empire's fleet entering the outer edges of the solar system, the world held its breath. Across the globe, millions of eyes turned to the skies, unsure of what would come next. The tension was thick. Humanity had chosen to fight, but now the time had arrived to prove that they were ready. At the heart of Earth's defense stood the Aegis Project, a system designed not only to protect the planet, but to give humanity a fighting chance against an opponent far more powerful. As the Empire's massive warships moved closer, Earth's secret weapon was activated. The quantum shields hummed to life, and across the globe, millions watched as their only hope shimmered in the stars above. The Empire's flagship, a towering ship called the Imperial Enforcer, led the charge into Earth's atmosphere. It was a ship of unimaginable size, its weapons array capable of wiping out entire cities with a single blast. The Empire believed their overwhelming firepower would be enough to break Earth's spirit in a matter of hours. They had no idea what they were up against. "Initiate shield activation," Dr. Arun Patel said, his voice steady as he watched the holographic display in the control room. The Aegis Project had one goal now: to stop the Empire's opening assault. Above Earth, the sky shimmered with a brilliant light as the quantum shields fully activated. These shields were designed to deflect energy-based weapons, like the massive plasma cannons aboard the Empire's ships, while also absorbing and redistributing the force. It wasn't perfect. No system could be. But it was humanity's best hope. The Empire's fleet fired the first salvo, a barrage of energy blasts from the Imperial Enforcer and its accompanying warships. The blast struck Earth's shields with terrifying force, sending shockwaves through space. The air around Earth's upper atmosphere lit up like a star exploding in slow motion. But Earth's shields held strong. The energy blasts that should have devastated the planet simply bounced off, deflected into space with incredible force. Humanity's defenders watched in awe as the first wave of destruction was turned back. It wasn't enough to win the battle, but it was enough to send a message. Earth was not going to fall without a fight. In the military command center, President Elena Vargas stood with a grim expression as she saw the results. "Now," she whispered, "now we strike back." Earth's military forces had been preparing for this moment for years. The newly developed warships, small but highly advanced, emerged from their hidden bases deep beneath Earth's oceans. These ships were designed with stealth and speed in mind. They were faster than any ship in the Empire's fleet and were equipped with plasma torpedoes capable of disabling enemy ships in a single hit. The first wave of Earth's counterattack was led by Admiral James Blackwell, the commander of Earth's most advanced fleet. His ships were sleek, dark, and nearly invisible to enemy sensors. Using advanced cloaking technology, the fleet moved undetected toward the Empire's warships. "Launch all fighters," Admiral Blackwell ordered, his voice steady but filled with purpose. "Target the enemy's shield generators." The fleet surged forward, their engines humming with power. A swarm of smaller fighter ships darted into space, launching torpedoes with deadly precision. The Empire's flagship, the Imperial Enforcer, had never seen a force like this before. Earth's weapons pierced its shields, and the first ship to fall was one of the Empire's largest cruisers. It exploded in a brilliant burst of light, sending debris scattering across space. The Empire's fleet, stunned by the unexpected resistance, tried to regroup. They had underestimated Earth, believing their firepower alone would bring the planet to its knees. But Earth's swift counterattack proved them wrong. The smaller, faster ships darted through the massive Empire vessels, dodging incoming fire and striking at the heart of the enemy fleet. President Vargas watched the battle unfold on a large screen. "We can't stop here," she said, her voice filled with determination. "We need to keep the pressure on. Earth will not back down." As Earth's forces continued their assault, the Empire's commanders scrambled to adjust their tactics. They had never expected such a fierce resistance. Earth's ingenuity, its ability to adapt and outthink their attackers, was beginning to show. In the chaos of battle, the Imperial Enforcer finally retaliated. The massive ship fired a concentrated beam of energy toward Earth, aiming to break through the planet's defenses. The blast was so powerful that it lit up the entire solar system. It struck Earth's shields with the force of 1,000 nuclear explosions, causing a moment of panic. For a moment, it seemed like Earth's defense might fail. The shield flickered, weakening under the immense pressure. But then, a second wave of warships from Earth arrived, reinforcing the line. They concentrated their fire on the Imperial Enforcer's weapon systems, disabling its ability to continue firing. It wasn't an easy victory, and the battle had only just begun. But the message was clear. Earth was no longer an easy target. Humanity had proven it was willing to fight, to bleed, and to protect its home at all costs. As the first wave of battle subsided, both sides regrouped. The Empire's fleet, though still vast and powerful, was beginning to feel the pressure. Earth, small and once considered insignificant, had turned the tide of battle in its favor. And in that moment, humanity knew the Empire's conquest of Earth would not be as simple as they had thought. The war had just begun, but Earth had already made its mark on the stars. The battle in space raged on, and the skies above Earth were a battlefield unlike any other. The once calm and peaceful world had become a place of fire and explosions. But amidst the chaos, one thing was clear: Earth was not going to surrender. Humanity's determination was unwavering, and the Empire, for all its power, was beginning to feel the pressure. On the ground, people watched as their world was caught in the crossfire. News outlets broadcasted the ongoing conflict, and social media was flooded with updates. But despite the fear and uncertainty, there was a sense of unity that spread across Earth. People from all walks of life came together, united by a common cause. The Empire had come to conquer, but humanity had something more powerful than weapons: a will to survive. President Elena Vargas stood in the command center, watching the battle unfold on a large holographic screen. The Empire's fleet had suffered significant damage, but their numbers were still overwhelming. Earth had dealt a strong first blow, but the war was far from over. The president knew that they needed more than just their weapons. They needed a strategy that would put the Empire on the defensive. "Prepare the next phase of our plan," she said, her voice filled with calm determination. "We need to hit them where it hurts." In the control room, Dr. Arun Patel and his team were working tirelessly to refine the Aegis project's capabilities. The quantum shields had held up remarkably well against the Empire's attacks, but they weren't invincible. The shields could only absorb so much energy before they began to weaken. They needed to find a way to turn the tide in their favor. Dr. Patel had an idea. "We've been testing a new weapon in secret," he said, looking up from his work. "It's based on a technology we discovered while studying alien artifacts. If we can deploy it in the right place, it could disrupt the Empire's fleet." The weapon was a high-frequency pulse that could interfere with the enemy's advanced technology, disabling their ships and rendering them vulnerable. It was a risky move, but if it worked, it could shift the balance of power in favor of Earth. Meanwhile, Admiral James Blackwell was coordinating with his fleet, preparing for the next phase of the attack. His ships had proven to be effective against the Empire's warships, but the Empire had learned quickly and adapted. The human fleet was running low on ammunition, and Earth's warships were starting to feel the strain. The next wave of attacks would have to be decisive. "We've got one shot at this," Admiral Blackwell said as he stood before his fleet. "We need to take out their command ships. Without their leaders, the rest of their fleet will fall apart." Blackwell's fleet moved into position, their ships cloaked and ready for the attack. They had learned the hard way that the Empire's command ships were heavily protected, but if they could disable them, the rest of the fleet would be thrown into disarray. The plan was simple but dangerous. They would launch a surprise assault on the Empire's flagship and its support vessels, using every last weapon they had. The human fleet had to be swift and decisive, striking before the Empire could retaliate. As the fleet moved into position, Earth's new weapon, the high-frequency pulse, was deployed. A massive wave of energy surged through space, aimed directly at the Empire's command ships. The effect was immediate. The pulse disrupted the Empire's communications, scrambled their sensors, and temporarily disabled their shields. The human fleet surged forward, their ships cutting through the disoriented Empire vessels like a knife through butter. The Empire's warships, once so confident in their power, were now vulnerable. They scrambled to regain control, but it was too late. The human fleet, using their superior tactics and speed, tore through the enemy defenses. Admiral Blackwell's voice rang out over the comms as his fleet launched their attack. "Now's our chance. Take them out." The battle was fierce, but humanity's forces fought with a newfound strength. The Empire's once dominant fleet was now on the defensive, struggling to hold its ground. And in the chaos, the Empire's flagship, the Imperial Enforcer, was struck by a direct hit from one of Earth's warships. The mighty ship staggered, its shields flickering as it tried to regain power. President Vargas watched the battle unfold from the command center, her eyes fixed on the holographic map of the solar system. Earth's forces were pushing the Empire back, but they weren't out of danger yet. The Empire had far more ships in reserve, and they wouldn't give up easily. "We're not finished yet," she said, turning to her advisors. "Prepare for the next phase. If we can keep the pressure on, we can force them to retreat." The battle continued into the night, with both sides fighting for control of space. Earth's forces had gained the upper hand, but the Empire was far from defeated. The war had entered a new phase, one where Earth's ingenuity and determination were being put to the ultimate test. In the midst of the battle, Dr. Patel's pulse weapon continued to disrupt the Empire's technology, giving humanity a significant advantage. It was a symbol of what Earth had done. They had taken a humble, struggling planet and turned it into a force to be reckoned with. The Empire had underestimated humanity, but now they knew the truth. Earth was not going to kneel. And as the battle raged on, humanity's resolve grew stronger. The Empire's fleet might have been vast, but Earth had something they could never understand. A spirit that refused to be broken, no matter the odds. The turning point had arrived, and Earth had proved that they were not just a small, insignificant planet in the galaxy. They were a force that would fight to the very end. The battle had raged for days, with both sides suffering heavy losses. The Empire's once dominant fleet had been thrown into disarray by Earth's unexpected resistance. Humanity, with its limited resources, had managed to push back against the mighty Empire, defying every expectation. But while Earth's forces had gained the upper hand, the war was far from over. On the bridge of the Imperial Enforcer, the flagship of the Empire's fleet, General Valerian stood, his face hard with determination. The Empire had underestimated Earth from the start, but no longer. He could see the damage to his fleet, the cracks in their once unshakable superiority. Yet he was not ready to admit defeat. "We have one final option," General Valerian said, turning to his officers. "If we launch the last of our fleet, we can break their defenses. We will not let these primitive humans win." His officers nodded grimly, knowing the risks. The Empire had reserves, fleets that were hidden in the outer regions of the galaxy, and they had the firepower to crush Earth once and for all. But it would be a final, desperate push. Meanwhile, President Elena Vargas stood in the command center, watching the reports come in from Earth's forces. The battle was far from won, but humanity had done what seemed impossible. They had stood up to the Empire, and now they were in a position to win. Yet Vargas knew the price of victory might be higher than anyone realized. "They're not giving up," Vargas said, her voice heavy with the weight of the war. "We can't afford to underestimate them." In the depths of Earth's military command, Admiral James Blackwell was rallying his forces. The enemy was regrouping, but Blackwell had a plan. He knew that if they could disable the Empire's remaining fleets, Earth could secure a decisive victory. But the Empire's new forces would be unlike anything they had faced before. "We can't let up now," Admiral Blackwell told his fleet. "We push forward and take out their remaining ships. This is our chance to end this." The Empire, in its desperation, had unleashed its final wave of reinforcements. Massive warships equipped with weapons far more advanced than anything Earth had seen before. These ships were faster, stronger, and more heavily armed than the rest of the Empire's fleet. The Empire had no other choice but to throw everything they had left into the battle. Earth's forces had to respond quickly. Their fleet, though powerful, was still struggling to keep up with the Empire's new weapons. The warships Earth had developed were fast and stealthy, but they could not match the raw firepower of the Empire's final wave. As the new battle began, Earth's defenders fought with all their might, launching wave after wave of attacks. Earth's warships weaved through the battlefield, dodging the Empire's advanced weapons and targeting the vulnerable spots on the enemy ships. The battle was fierce, with explosions lighting up the sky as both sides unleashed their most powerful weapons. Admiral Blackwell's strategy was simple yet effective. Outsmart the Empire at every turn. His fleet would focus on the weakest points of the Empire's ships, using their superior maneuverability to strike before the Empire could retaliate. But as the Empire's new ships began to gain ground, Blackwell knew that Earth's forces were reaching their limits. The Empire's reinforcements were too strong. Meanwhile, back on Earth, President Vargas was monitoring the situation closely. The war was taking a toll on Earth's resources, and she could see the exhaustion on her military leaders' faces. Yet she refused to give up. Humanity had come too far to retreat now. "We have one more card to play," Vargas said to her team. "We have to act fast." Dr. Arun Patel, who had been overseeing Earth's technological advancements during the war, stepped forward. "We've been working on a new weapon, something that can disable the Empire's ships at a distance," he said, his voice filled with quiet confidence. "If we can launch it in the right moment, we can turn the tide in our favor." The weapon was a powerful EMP, electromagnetic pulse, that could knock out the Empire's advanced technology, including their shields and weapon systems. It was a risky move, one that could potentially damage Earth's own ships if they weren't careful. But if it worked, it could cripple the Empire's forces once and for all. President Vargas made the call. "Prepare the EMP weapon. We need it deployed immediately." The weapon was fired into space, targeting the Empire's fleet. The pulse shot through the stars like a streak of lightning, and within moments, the results were clear. One by one, the Empire's ships began to falter. Their shields flickered and failed, their weapon systems went offline, and their once powerful fleets were rendered useless. It was the turning point the humans had been waiting for. With their technology disabled, the Empire's warships were now easy targets for Earth's fleet. The human ships, still operating at full capacity, launched a final, coordinated strike. They targeted the Empire's flagship, the Imperial Enforcer, and in a final explosion of light, the great ship was destroyed. The Empire's forces, now in disarray and without leadership, began to retreat. The final remnants of their fleet, scattered and broken, fled into the far reaches of the galaxy, leaving Earth standing victorious. The battle was over, and Earth had won. President Vargas stood before her team, a sense of relief washing over her. She had known that the road to victory would be long and difficult, but humanity had proven something far more powerful than any weapon: their spirit. As the first rays of peace began to shine on Earth once more, humanity had made its mark on the galaxy. The Empire had come to conquer, but they had underestimated the strength of a planet that refused to kneel. And now, the stars would know, Earth was not to be trifled with. The war had ended, but humanity's journey had just begun. The battle had ended, and Earth was left standing tall, victorious against an empire that once seemed unbeatable. The galaxy had watched in awe as humanity, a small planet by galactic standards, defied the odds and sent the mighty empire into retreat. The war was over, but its effects would be felt across the cosmos for generations to come. In the days that followed the final battle, Earth's leaders worked tirelessly to rebuild. Cities had been damaged, and countless lives had been lost, but the spirit of the people remained unbroken. President Elena Vargas stood in the heart of the United Nations headquarters, looking out over the city skyline. Her heart was heavy, but her mind was focused on the future. "We have won," she said, her voice calm but filled with determination. "But the work is far from over. We have to rebuild, but we also have to ensure that this never happens again. We must be prepared for what comes next." Dr. Arun Patel, who had played a crucial role in the development of Earth's advanced technology during the war, stood beside her. "President Vargas, the galaxy is already looking to us. We've proven ourselves, but we need to establish a long-term strategy. If the Empire tried to conquer us once, there may be others who will try in the future." Vargas nodded. "We need to unite the galaxy, build alliances, and make sure that Earth's influence is felt in the stars." The war had left the Empire shattered, its fleet in ruins, and its power weakened. But Earth's victory had not gone unnoticed. Across the galaxy, species and civilizations that had once feared the Empire now looked to Earth with newfound respect. The victory had sent a message. Humanity was no longer a planet to be ignored or underestimated. The first delegation of representatives from other worlds arrived on Earth not long after the war ended. The meetings were tense, but the message was clear. Earth's place in the galaxy had changed. The planet, once isolated and vulnerable, was now a rising power, one that had proven it could stand up to the galaxy's most fearsome empire. Admiral James Blackwell, who had led the human fleet through the war, stood before a council of representatives from several different alien species. The room was filled with a mixture of skepticism and curiosity. The alien leaders were unsure whether to trust humanity or view them as a threat. But Blackwell, with his usual calm confidence, addressed them directly. "We didn't fight the Empire for power or glory," he said, his voice steady. "We fought for our survival. But now we offer you something different. We offer an alliance, a chance to build something stronger together. The Empire may have fallen, but there are others out there who will seek to rise in its place. If we unite, we can prevent that." The council remained silent for a long moment, the weight of Blackwell's words sinking in. Finally, the leader of the Aelori, an ancient species known for their wisdom, spoke. "Your victory has proven your strength," the Aelori leader said, his voice rich with age. "We will consider your offer, but you must understand, trust takes time. We will not join you easily." Blackwell nodded. "We don't expect trust to come overnight, but we're willing to prove ourselves." In the months that followed, Earth's alliances slowly grew. One by one, species from across the galaxy began to reach out, seeking cooperation with humanity. Earth, with its advanced technology and resilient spirit, became a central figure in the rebuilding efforts. Humanity's reputation as fierce defenders and resourceful problem solvers spread across the stars. Meanwhile, President Vargas worked tirelessly to ensure that Earth's future was secure. She knew that their victory against the Empire was just the beginning. There were still many challenges ahead, challenges that would require unity, intelligence, and above all, trust. One of the greatest obstacles Earth faced was rebuilding the military. While their forces had proven their effectiveness in battle, the destruction of much of their fleet during the war left Earth vulnerable. President Vargas and Admiral Blackwell discussed the need for a new strategy, one that would prepare humanity for any future threats. "We can't just focus on defense," Blackwell said. "We need to build a fleet that can act swiftly and decisively. We need to be ready for anything." Vargas agreed. "We'll start by recruiting the best and brightest from across Earth, but we'll also need to bring in allies. It's time to build a coalition of the willing." As Earth's influence spread throughout the galaxy, its reputation continued to grow. The victory over the Empire had not only changed humanity's standing in the galaxy, but had also awakened something in the hearts of many species: hope. Hope that they, too, could stand up to tyranny and oppression. Hope that together they could build a better future. In the quiet corners of the galaxy, a new sense of unity was beginning to form, and it all started with Earth. But not everyone in the galaxy was ready to accept this change. There were still factions, both within the remnants of the Empire and among other, more hostile species, that viewed Earth's rise with suspicion and fear. These forces, though few in number, would not let go of their ambitions so easily. As Earth worked to secure peace and build alliances, these shadowy enemies began to move in the background, planning and plotting. But President Vargas and her team were not blind to the danger. They knew that the peace they had fought for was fragile, and that it would require constant vigilance to maintain. Humanity had proven that it could rise above the odds and defeat an empire, but now they would face a new challenge: ensuring that the galaxy remained peaceful and free from the forces that sought to destroy it. And as Earth's influence continued to spread, one thing became clear: humanity would no longer be content to hide in the shadows of the galaxy. They had earned their place among the stars, and they were determined to make sure their story was one of strength, unity, and peace for generations to come. Months had passed since the fall of the Empire, and Earth had transformed in ways no one could have imagined. The war that had threatened their very existence had become a distant memory, but the lessons learned were still fresh in everyone's minds. President Elena Vargas stood at the head of the United Nations, preparing to make an important announcement to the people of Earth. The galaxy was watching, and her words would carry the weight of Earth's future. In the Grand Hall, leaders from Earth's allies and representatives from other species sat, waiting for her to speak. The mood was one of anticipation. Humanity had proven itself as a force to be reckoned with, but now it was time to see what they would do next. What would Earth's role be in this new galaxy? Vargas stood tall, her eyes scanning the crowd. She had been the symbol of Earth's resistance, but today she knew that she represented something even greater: the future of her planet and the hope for a peaceful galaxy. She began to speak, her voice calm but powerful. "Today, we stand on the threshold of a new era," she said. "We've shown the galaxy that we will not bow down, no matter the cost. Our victory over the Empire was not just a military triumph. It was a message to all. Earth is not just a planet. We are a beacon of hope for every species who believes in freedom, justice, and unity." A soft murmur rippled through the room as her words settled in. The delegation of alien leaders exchanged glances, some nodding in approval, others still unsure of what Earth's rise meant for them. "For too long," Vargas continued, "the galaxy was ruled by fear. The Empire sought to divide us, to conquer us one by one. But now we have the chance to build something different. A future where strength is measured not by domination, but by cooperation. We are not alone in this vast universe, and together we are stronger than any empire." The room fell silent as the weight of her words sunk in. Earth had already earned the respect of many, But this declaration, this vision of a united galaxy, was something far more ambitious. Today, President Vargas said, "I am proud to announce the formation of the Galactic Alliance, a coalition of worlds, united by our shared values of peace, mutual respect, and progress. This is not just a promise to Earth, but to all those who have been oppressed, who have suffered under the boot of tyranny. We will stand together as one." A wave of applause erupted, and the representatives from other planets began to stand, showing their support. The Aelori, the first to reach out to Earth after the war, were the first to rise. The leader of the Aelori spoke with a voice that carried across the hall. "We have watched you closely, Earth," the Aelori leader said. "And we believe that this vision of peace is not just a dream. Your people have earned the right to lead, and we will stand with you as you build this new future." The room erupted in applause once again, and for the first time in a long while, the tension that had gripped the galaxy seemed to lift. The old power struggles were not forgotten, but they were now overshadowed by the possibility of something greater, a united galaxy, where every species had a voice. Admiral James Blackwell, who had been instrumental in the victory over the Empire, stood beside President Vargas. He was no longer just a military leader. He had become a symbol of humanity's strength and resilience. As the applause died down, he addressed the crowd. "We have not come this far alone," he said. "This victory was not just won by Earth's military. It was won by the courage of every species that stood beside us. Together, we will build a galaxy where peace is not a mere hope, but a reality." The room was filled with renewed energy, a sense of optimism that had been missing for far too long. The battles were over, but the real work was just beginning. Earth had taken its place among the stars, but now it had to prove that its strength was not in its weapons, but in its ability to bring others together. In the months that followed, Earth's leadership played a crucial role in establishing the Galactic Alliance. The coalition began with a handful of worlds, but as Earth's influence spread, more and more species joined. The principles of peace, cooperation, and shared prosperity began to take root, and a new era of interstellar relations began. Despite the triumphs, there were still challenges. Some species remained hesitant, unsure if this new alliance would be strong enough to hold. And lurking in the background, there were still remnants of the Empire, factions that refused to accept the new order and sought to undermine the fragile peace. But Earth's resolve remained unshaken. As President Vargas looked out over the stars from her office, she knew that the road ahead would not be easy. The galaxy was vast, and there would always be threats lurking in its shadows. But humanity had proven that, together, they could overcome anything. "We've come so far," she thought, "but this is just the beginning." The galaxy had changed. Earth had changed. And now, the universe was a little brighter, a little more hopeful, because humanity had refused to kneel. The new dawn had arrived, and with it, the promise of a future built on unity and peace. The fight for freedom had not been in vain, and the story of Earth's rise would echo across the stars for centuries to come.